back to Cast Me to Hell with me, Seb.
And me, Robbie.
And here we are with our spoiler-filled review of The Long Walk.
We're walking long, baby. Whatever that means.
Walking long.
We're walking long, we're walking hard. For 3 miles an hour. I was trying to think of a word.
3 miles an hour. So we are back with our spoiler-filled review. Now this was a tricky one to talk about. We kind of set it up a little bit in our spoiler-free episode, but this was a tricky one to talk about without giving away spoilers, because it's a film where majority of what we'd say that doesn't involve people walking, involves people dying, or having conversations which you can still technically count as spoilerific. So this is obviously following on with Francis Lawrence's and J.T. Molnar's The Long Walk. So, I don't know, we both were pretty positive in our spoiler-free episode. And the only thing we mentioned kind of was that at times, for me anyway, Mark Hamill was a little bit kind of hit or miss with it kind of thing, maybe not feeling as intimidating as a kid, because most of the film is pretty serious. I'm not saying it's fully serious. I mean, there's someone shitting in the streets. Yeah. but it's not really it's not like shit humor. What I mean? It's not making dirty jokes out of it. It's more of the reality of the competition. It's that. So so having Mark Hamill with his kind of gruff kind of voice that he was somewhat putting on, that was kind of coming out of him when he was occasionally in there, that was my only thing that didn't fully take me out of the film. But I don't know, as I said in the last one, I felt like I could feel that he was trying hard to put that voice on almost. It was weird to hear such a good voice actor trying hard to do such a kind of a slightly gruff voice. Yeah,
if that was one of my main kind of detractors from it. Like I said, I don't think Mark Hamill was in it enough for me to think that it was kind of glaringly obvious, or it really kind of put a hindrance on the film. But it was every time I did see him. He had some good lines, and I did like the character of the Major, but it was that voice just sounded a bit like cartoonish almost. I don't know whether it's kind of supposed to be. Yeah,
maybe it's just being used to him, because it's hard not to hear his voice and not be hearing elements of the Joker and other animated characters he's done, because at this point it's just hard not to hear it in his voice. Even when I was watching, I watched Life of Chuck, and I could still hear that in his voice. I was it's almost like I'm more used to his comic voice than I am to his normal voice at this point. I mean, he no longer, when I've heard him speaking, he no longer sounds like what he once did as Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. His voice is no longer that anymore. He's got almost more like a lightness to his voice. He's got almost like a more comical voice than he ever had. As he's got older, it sounds like he's become the animation.
I can't even remember how he sounds now, even as Luke Skywalker.
It's all a very long time ago.
It is in a galaxy far, far away. That's a nice way of doing it.
But yeah, that was one of the main detractor points. But as I said, for the most part, this film is it's pure kind of Stephen King. Yeah. It's pure in its way of that mix between the horrific and the horror that Stephen King can do when he has those harrowing scenes, but also more of that kind of, Shawshank Redemption, Stand By Me kind of moments in here as well. That we've got this kind of real, bonding moments, this real, where two people who don't even know each other over the course of a film basically become two brothers. Feel like they are that close to each other that they're willing to give their life for each other and things like that. Is a really nice kind of journey to go on with them, and it's the characters that keep you entertained throughout the film. If you had not liked these characters, or if they had been off, or if the actors were not putting in a full on performance like they are here, a real putting in their all into it, then I think this could easily be quite unentertaining. It could be boring quite easily, because it is literally shots of scenery. And it's one thing I like about it is actually that it doesn't go into huge crowds of dystopian people hanging around, or
watching
huge shots of
TVs,
crowds, or a huge trying to do a big sci-fi stadium of people watching, or any of that. It's the fact that we literally get basically what looks like some place out in the middle of like Texas or something like that, where they're just walking down like a thing, and there's like occasionally one person stood there just gawping at them. Like, what the hell's going on? You know, it feels very much like they give the idea that this is a ravaged country, but not necessarily through making it look like it's all destroyed. More on the fact that everyone kind of looks a little bit impoverished.
Yeah, it's just a very, economically downturned country. They do make some references to after the war, the country was ruined, and it's that very kind of light dystopian. It doesn't lean fully into like the whole country.
It's not like a full sci-fi or anything like that.
No,
it doesn't even feel like you would put it within that, because it just feels literally like feels like just like a version of our life now, if we so happens that everything went fully to shit.
Yeah, and it's very
like
simple.
9 months down the road.
Yeah, like a year's time. When reform take over. We're going to be fucking walking down the M5.
The leaders of the world are like Putin, Trump, and then like Nigel Farage is our country's leader. We're fucked.
Then we're just marching.
It's when it's like the horsemen of the apocalypse coming along.
But yeah, I feel like it has that very basic premises. Stephen King always says when it comes to writing, the idea that he gets is like, what if something, and it does feel like he just went, what if a bunch of lads had to walk and the last one living one, and just took it from there. We get a very kind of I don't know whether I was a big fan of it, but we get kind of like an opening crawl, not on a Mark Hamill opening crawl, so you're thinking like a big bombastic Star Wars, but it is kind of like a very letter, like
the letter at the beginning. I can't actually remember who it was to, so I'm assuming it was for him.
It was for the main character.
Yeah.
Ron. I can never remember any characters' names
ever.
As soon as I leave the cinema, I just forget.
My brain is just gone. So it's Raymond.
Yeah, it's
Raymond Garrity, Cooper Hoffman. Yeah, Peter McVeary's, which is David Johnson. And then I did say in the other episode, Charlie Plummer is Gary Barkovich, or Barkovich is the main reply to him, who is kind of a little bit of an antagonist at times. And then we've got Ben Wang, who is Hank Olsen, who I think will be many people's kind of one of their favourite characters in this film, just for these little moments.
I think he was one of mine.
Yeah, those are kind of some of the main ones. We've got Arthur Baker as well.
Yeah, Arthur Baker was great.
And Stebbins, Garrett Waring as Bailey Stebbins, who's kind of the one who straight away you look at and go, they all think he's the guy that's going to win this. Kind of thing. He is the winner. So it's. Those are kind of the main kind of cast of characters we've got here, who we meet at the beginning. So like just a little quick kind of. So at the beginning we've got Judy Greer and we've got Raymond. Judy Greer playing Ginny, which is Raymond's mother. And we get kind of this slow kind of approach where again this feels like in many films this would be the opening bit when they try to basically very quickly, have the mum explain quickly like, why are you going on this long walk?
Your dad wouldn't have wanted you to do this long walk.
The society have raised this when we went to war and this happened and this happened and this happened. Now you're saying you want to go on a long walk. It's things like that. But it is like that's normally the way with quite a lot of these films. Is like, quickly exposition, just fill it in so then the film knows.
Have the actors stare at the camera whilst they speak.
But this film doesn't even. Not only does it not actually even fill you in necessarily on what is that. Apart from this lad is going on a long walk. For a nice stag pie.
Yeah.
All the lads. All that they go. It's even hidden. Again, if you had no idea, obviously to begin with, it's hidden with you get your ticket. Which again, you're like. Ticket means death, right?
I think they all know that, don't they?
But it is that it's like still hidden under a name, kind of thing.
Yeah.
People might not. So if you're really going in blind into this film, then you would have been like, "What the fuck?" Like,
what's the ticket?
But I don't know. Otherwise, we had this in the last. Otherwise, you thought you were watching a film about people walking.
Hey, somebody might like that.
Walking enthusiasts are going to be pissed. But So.
But those who like watching children die, they'll be really happy.
Well, that's the thing. So. obviously we get introduced to all of these kids. The pretty much the youngest kid, they pretty much imply is like, oh, they're like, oh, yeah, he's like fuck you. I bet you're not even like a day over 16, are you? Like he's like, I'm 18. Of course I'm 18 because that's how old they're meant to be. It's like you've definitely snuck in. You're not even old enough to be that. And obviously, the kid who is implied the youngest is also the first one to die when he gets cramp on his thing. But the reason I point that out is because he gets really bad cramp, and they all try to help him because it's the beginning. And at this point, it's all kind of like they're just walking, they're getting to know each other. We've already got Peter and Raymond, David Johnson, who gives an amazing.
David Johnson's awesome. He's so good,
so good. That dude is gonna be he should be a big actor because he's fucking great. What they're kind of already quite formed, and they've already kind of joined together with each other. They join him and Arthur Baker and Hank Olsen make what they call the Musketeers. So they've already had that bit, and we've already had all this kind of build up, them arriving, them going, them starting the walk, being told that, having warnings and stuff like that. It's not until the first kid is shot and he gets his head, like literally the kid drops to the ground. He's the youngest kid. They're like, fuck, they're trying to help him and stuff like that, but it's not working. They get told to move on because otherwise they're all going to start to get warnings. And he gets shot, and they literally blow. And we get a shot of the youngest kid getting a bullet through his head and it coming out through his jaw that gets splattered towards the screen. And it's not until after they walk away from that bit it finally actually says The Long Walk. The title card doesn't come in until the audience is almost fully aware of what is happening here. That this is not just, this isn't just like country farm or whatever they call it.
The quiet ramble.
A lovely little ramble through the fields. But I really liked that choice of it being like, I didn't even click in my head that we actually hadn't seen a title card or anything.
I hadn't either.
We'd literally just gone straight in. And just we take it until he gets his literal little brains blown out.
Yeah, and it's grim because he gets that cramp and he kind of falls back, and they're giving him the warnings and he's kind of screaming, "Oh, it's not fair! It's not fair!" And then they try
so hard to try and save him, to the point where you think the kid's like all right again, like you think he's just like getting off because he like moving past it because he looks like he's okay for a minute. And then it just does. He just can't get past this kind of major cramp that he's got in his leg. Or it's even the fact that he is a kid, because it's not even that. Like the rest of them say they've got a cramp or they've got a thing, and he says he's got a Charlie horse, which is a kiddie American kiddie thing to say. Like he's got like a little, so he's got that in his leg. So it's like that. So
a cramp is a Charlie horse.
Well, I'm assuming that, or it's something that's like that, but I just assumed I thought Charlie Horse was more when someone got like punched in the leg.
I thought Charlie Horse was heroin and crack cocaine.
Maybe in the UK. In America, it's a lovely little mention for when you like maybe fall over and bang your knee or get a cramp. In the UK, it means that you're full of drugs.
It means you're full of drugs.
It means you've got all kinds of it.
It is. It's a sudden, a slang term for a sudden, involuntary and painful muscle cramp or spasm, most commonly affecting the leg or foot. I didn't realise that.
But yeah, it's those little moments to give it more that you're like, oh shit, this really is a kid. Like, it's not like the other ones will say about like they have a cramp, or later on, that he has like a
Charlie horse.
Yeah, not a Charlie horse.
I've got a Charlie horse, and he's strung out.
and it is weird because a lot of this comes from, those really humanising moments, which we can't really, because I don't have the script in front of me, so I can't recreate those things.
Recite them.
But, a lot of it comes down to kind of the thought process of Raymond, who kind of is doing this, even though he doesn't fully believe that he's actually going to succeed in this. He has this very negative thought process, and he's kind of one that almost goes out at several points even early in the film. And it is Peter who is the one who drives him forward by kind of changing his perspective on how he's thinking about things. And it's not just him, like they all do together. Like when they start out early, it seems as if they're not really like, that they're going to all struggle by themselves. But the more they come together, the more that people start like sharing and joining in, the more that we start to kind of enjoy that and enjoy their characters, and they enjoy their time together. And you get that real kind of bonding, like a kind of a Stand By Me, like I said before, like of the boys, like when they're travelling to the dead body and Stand By Me, they kind of get those kind of moments to share together, and kind of you're like, this is really nice. But
I don't want them to stop walking.
Yeah, I don't want you to stop walking. You know, I was literally worried for Hank, for Olsen the entire.
Yeah.
Every time I looked at her, I was like, "You already look fucking knackered, kid. I'm pretty sure we've only walked 5 miles and you look tired."
You're fucked. Yeah, it is. It's and you can a lot of the times, because it is just, apart from when you get these shots of these kind of like gorgeous landscapes, it is just shots of them walking.
Yeah.
And whilst it does mainly follow Raymond and Peter, there's kind of like the rotation of characters who join them, and then characters will fall into the background. So you'll see, you'll see Olsen in the background. You'll see, the
Harkness, the one who says he's writing a book.
Yes,
and he gets a fairly significant one later on.
Yeah, he was great. Collie Parker, he was another good one. And then the Stebbins, these characters that are always kind of in the background, and you get to see them just kind of like gradually degrade without kind of becoming front and center.
Yeah, and you also, like, so early on you get the division between them, or the way that they're kind of fucking with each other or messing with each other.
Yeah.
Like the character played by Charlie Plummer, Barkovich, who is kind of a little bit of an antagonist. But I don't know, straight away though, I felt oddly sorry for him, because it felt straight away like he had something really wrong with him. I can't actually remember, I think this might be when you were for a week, but early on they have a moment when when they first introduced them, they're all sat together, they're trying to make like a joke together.
Yeah.
And Barkovich, they're all making a joke about things, and Barkovich tries to join in on the joke, and what he says doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it's not fair. Like, he's trying overly hard.
Yeah,
like, he wants to join in. So they all kind of look at him like he's weird.
Yeah,
and it's almost like literally that's like the starting point for his character in this film, where he starts to think that he's not going to fit in with these guys.
He's like ostracized.
So I have to be that. So therefore he starts like acting out. And it comes to a major blow when he fucks with a kid called Rank.
Yeah.
He's fucking with this kid called Rank about his name, and this kid's like quite an odd but kind of sweet kid. He's like
makes like a little origami swan or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like little kind of swans that he keeps leaving all over the place and things like that he's like putting down. So it's he's got that, but Barkovich starts fucking with him about his mum and started making jokes, and he's trying to get a rise out of him.
Yeah.
Almost, but the thing is that Barkovich, although he says smack to a lot of people, he doesn't fuck with any of the ones that you could tell could lay him out.
Yeah, of course.
He only fucks with the kid who is it is like the classic kind of, I'm feeling like I'm not worth anything, so I'm going to bring down someone else, and it's the only kid that's basically thinner than him.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because although he tries to fuck with Peter several times, Peter would lay him out easy.
Yeah, Peter would they'd all bash.
So, but it leads to this point where this Rank kid starts trying to attack him. I mean, it was only one thing, that the kids' punches are terrible.
Oh yeah, awful.
They're like the worst punches. Literally, like, you can tell that he's like trying to swing at him, and it's like you're not even anywhere near him.
Yeah, you're just like flying all over.
It was one of those moments where I was like, in one way, like, I guess people believably swing like that, and it was one of those, but at the same time I was like, like the kid who's doing the acting, sadly you're just not good at fake hit acting or whatever, because you're nowhere near him, kid. Twice he tries to swing at him, and it's literally like huge gaps between anywhere near him, until he finally like basically goes all in on basically about making jokes about his mum being like a street hooker, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
And he goes fully for it and falls over and skids, and his face
so brutal.
Slides along the tarmac of it, and you see the skin ripped off the side of his face, and like, fuck. And he's down, and then he gets shot. He gets shot in the head. So the rest of it's not as gruesome as it could be, but you see like Barkovich completely freak out, because it's like, basically you killed everyone, you're a murderer and things like that. So you do wonder. I wondered in classic kind of Stephen King fashion. He was one of the characters I was constantly wondering about, because there's normally always some really kind of pervy, creepy, like fucked up character,
of course.
or mentally unwell, or whatever way it's described, because they come in all those in Stephen King novels in all different forms. There's normally one who does something, part of me, he seemed to be growing a grudge against Peter and things like that in the stories. So I was like, at what point is he going to fucking try and do something? He's going to really fuck with someone. And I fully expected from a character. I was surprised in this film. I was expecting characters to start to attack or trip or hurt, and weirdly, and it's actually a refreshing thing that it never goes into the whole I'm gonna like really try and take you out or I'm gonna destroy. The camaraderie kind of becomes it spreads between them, and even the ones that aren't fully part of it don't really try to disturb each other. They just try to focus on the task at hand. They're not meant to hurt each other, because they do warn them when Rank is trying to hit him. They warn that he's not allowed to so it's obviously one of the rules. But he's still surprised that he doesn't try to do a quick stab here or get him, or it feels like that. So you feel very unnerved by him. There's one scene later in the scene when he's got when he's around Raymond's and he's getting a little bit unhinged, and he's talking to Raymond about trying to be part of the group, and I just wanted to be part of it, and he's got what looks like a sharp object around him, and at that point I was looking at it.
I was thinking, what are you going to do with that fucking...
And Cooper Hoffman gives a great performance, because in that scene you feel the tension that he's almost he's agreeing with him, but he's agreeing with him the same way you agree with a bloke on a night out when the drunk guy comes up to you, puts his arm around you, alright mate, how you doing? Isn't this great? Because at one way you're like, this guy's being really friendly, but another way he's really drunk and I feel like he could be mentally unwell.
Yeah, he's been... I'm going to get killed.
He might try and literally just kind of do something to me that I don't want to be done. So I'm agreeing with everything this guy said. He might say the worst, meanest, or most horriblest stuff that you could ever pronounce, and I'll be like, that is right, mate, absolutely, you're fine, because I don't want you to fucking
I don't want to be dead.
I don't want that bottle in me.
I don't want my head to be
context you want to take that. That's the vibe that Barkovich is giving off here. He's the guy that you don't want, but when he's actually near you, you're like, you know what, whatever, I'll say whatever you want to hear, mate. It's fine. Absolutely, just do your thing. I'm trying to think more of because obviously we get quite a lot of characters who we get some quite brutal deaths for characters we don't really get to know that well. They kind of get defined by when we start to hear a warning and then we see someone. I think one of the most significant early one is when people start saying they need a shit or a piss.
Oh yeah, fuck.
I mean, Peter just gets his knob out and just pisses into the wind,
which must be tricky to keep the same walking pace.
Yeah, and that's still moving while doing that. Yeah, he turns backwards almost to walk backwards so he can piss as he goes along. But that's a tricky one. But it's the shit that gets.
That's so funny.
The guy that they're like, that guy up there has got fucking diarrhea or something.
Got fucking square.
And when you see it, I think it's weird because it's not something you normally ever see. I don't forget unless it's a gross out comedy or something like that where something like that happened. But even then, they don't tend to just show it. So even I was a little bit like, fuck, when the guy literally just drops his trout and you just see the shit just flowing out of his ass. Someone had to CGI or something like shit out of his ass. Or it was a tube or something, I don't know. Or they just gave the guy laxative and go for it.
They shot him in the head.
Just literally that, but... Yeah, the dude that he shits all over, keeps shitting until the point where he falls basically down and they have to shoot him in the head because he's shitting too much on the ground.
Well, on the last one, he squats and shits. Wouldn't it just be just shit your pants and stay alive?
I mean, I don't know, because at the same time, I was thinking that. I was thinking because it said other people were basically just shitting themselves. But I was thinking, that's got to cause some horrible chafing. And
it would be horrible.
That would be fucking horrible.
But it's better than being shot in the head.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Maybe.
I'm more thinking. No, I mean I had fucking when I went to the beach the other week. I had such horrible chafing around my thighs. I was literally trying to walk back from the sea to the beach, which was this huge walk. And I think I was about halfway there, and I think at that point I would have been fucking do it.
Well, this shit might have acted as some kind of butter, if I got rid of the
instead of it being that, some nice butter that I'm rubbing to my thighs.
Some nice buttery shit to keep me going, keep those pistons greased.
I think that with 100% anyone if you've had major horrible chafing. anyone who would be like I gotta keep walking with this fucking fuck it.
Just kill me.
I'm done. Just fucking kill me, lads.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore because I literally don't feel like I want to walk anymore. So
yeah,
I don't want to do this anymore.
The bit where they go up the hill, where it gets to night, and then they have to race up the hill.
Yeah.
That was gross, man.
Yeah.
So many, and you just see people getting gunned down all around them.
Yeah, just constantly, and you don't really know. It's quite dark, and they're already unsure because they were literally completely knackered until they got to the bottom of that. Like Raymond's character, he was like literally done. He'd just gone off at Peter, had just been like had a little rant at him kind of thing, and he was in a bad, and he's like fuck. He literally sees like the gradient of the hill and goes fuck, like Jesus Christ. But yeah, seeing those people get like gunned down one by one, like taken out, is just brutal. It's not easy. It's brutal, and it is also because and this isn't necessarily seen when anyone who's like a major one dies or anything like that. You're expecting it to, but this is the scene when Harkness breaks his ankle.
Yes, I was about to say that.
Yeah, and I can't actually believe how far Harkness goes because when he broke his ankle and you see the snap, and it's fucking but when you see him go, but the fact that he keeps walking to the point where basically that ankle's hanging off.
It's just blood.
It's just literally
like a stub.
It is a stub. He's walking on a stub basically because the ankle is basically just like jiggling around at the side where the stump of his leg is now trying to like walk, and fucking hell, like that is a hard scene to see when you just see what is a bloody, like the foot is all like bloody and done up, and it's bad, but you're also there like, how the fuck did you keep walking that long, lad?
Well, I told you about like a few months ago when just randomly I slipped down the stairs, and I nearly fractured my foot, and then I couldn't walk, and I went to A&E, and then the next week at the same time of day I did the exact same thing to the same ankle somehow, and it was fucking killing me, and that was so painful to walk. And I had about half an hour where I had so much adrenaline that I could walk on it, and I had no pain. I just felt sick. And thinking of how painful that must have been. Man.
Yeah, so now take that, just break that ankle
fully break
just
it.
Have your ankle just like flopping around, and then try and walk on the stub of your foot.
Yeah,
like
for miles.
And he go like, fair play to the character. He shows his like, because I was literally there like, how the fuck did you keep going?
How? Yeah.
Like how? Like literally, most people spraining an ankle and would have probably been down on the ground. So literally, the fact he kept going, but it's also really because it's like you have went through literally like hours and hours of pain.
Yeah. Somehow
not passing out, somehow not thinking to keep going because you don't want to die, and finally having to literally get to the point where he's like, I don't, as he's basically going, he's like as if he's about to say like, I want to stop now.
I think it's just like, I'm going to go home.
Yeah, I want to go home, or I want to stop, or that kind of like, it's literally like as if he's suddenly like, I've done this, but can I stop now, please? Like as if he's going to ask for it. It's just like bang, done.
It's so brutal.
So he gets a quick death when it finally comes, but he has suffered like crazy to get to that point. Oh yeah, they're all just from walking and stuff like that. You can see that later when like Raymond has to take his boots off, and you just see his feet are basically just blood.
Yeah,
just all around. It's just fucking blood.
And then
I'm trying to fit. So obviously there are ones when there are some really cool deaths when it's people who literally just leg it off and just get blasted completely. You've got
the guy who tries to like grab the gun and gets run over by the tank.
Yeah, that one. That's probably like that might be one of the most brutal, not the most harrowing, but they're like brutal. Yeah. You don't really know who it is, but just the way that he gets his legs completely just fucked over, and it doesn't. And they still count down. On. Yeah, they still. That's the thing with it. I guess they give everyone a fair, equal chance of how long, but like in sometimes it seems cruel. Like fucking shoot them already.
But what if he
started crawling 3.4 miles an hour?
Well, yes, or he hung on to the tank, and it was because the tank's going as fast as they're going.
Yeah.
Would they count that if he somehow got a skateboard and just wheeled? Would they be like, well,
I
He's
think
moving.
that wouldn't count as walking. So
Yeah.
I think this is why it was like unfair to count down for him, because like, well, he's obviously not walking anymore. You've literally crushed his legs flat. His legs are fucking crushed to the ground.
Yeah, let's put a bullet in him.
Yeah,
you know?
It's time to let him go. Yeah.
Olsen's death is heartbreaking.
It is really like, you see Olsen deteriorate over the film. Obviously, you see the point when he's just like, he's not himself. This kind of charming, bubbly character that he is at the beginning. You know, making jokes, really quick-witted, and then you see out of all of them how quickly he goes quiet.
Yeah.
And then he's literally holding on and, you know, chewing his gum, and he says when his gum's done, he's done, kind of thing. And he's, you know, really, but you just see him like turn into this little shell of something.
A husk. Yeah.
He's not really talking anymore, and he gets slower and slower until they start saying that he's like, that's exhaustion. Like, he's fully like exhausted. He is done. And then he gets almost like that last moment of like, you're like, again, looks at his like gum like fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like that, and he has this moment of like last minute, like, I'm not going out like this kind of thing, and decides to rush the tank.
Yeah.
And gets blasted. Well, basically, it looks like
they
he gets
gut
blasted.
shot him, don't they?
Gunshot. It looks like he gets in the gut or even in the nuts or something.
Yeah, they gut shot him.
Like
so
down, like it goes kind of down because he takes a couple of bullets down.
They shoot him in the nuts.
But not only is it that, it's he gets that, and at the beginning he had such kind of confidence that he could be this kind of, you know, that he'd do really well. He even has things like that, like we find out later that he was actually married. And
I think that's the heartbreaking thing, is you find out after.
Yeah, it's not until later. And also, like, there are little links to it kind of thing, because it said Clementine at the beginning. He's eating clementines, which is a weird little like thing there. But he was eating those. They sing the song about Clementine, and they also have well, when he gets shot, he's like screaming like, "I didn't do it properly. I didn't do it properly," as if like he goes out regretting his choices, and that's kind of one of the worst things you can have. Which is it's something they almost learn later with Baker's death.
Yes.
Is that, you know, to not let people go thinking that they failed. And
yeah.
He goes out, but not only that, they say that they're leaving him to bleed out, to make a show of him.
Yeah.
So that they no one else tries to rush one of the guards. So when they get further and further away, you're almost waiting for that gunshot, because he's still screaming, which is horrible, and you're waiting for the gunshot, and it never comes. So they let him lie there screaming and in pain, and they let him bleed to death. Even when Baker tries to save him, and then Raymond has to go and save Baker, because it seems like you're about to get two people who've bonded, kind of like Peter and Raymond have bonded, Baker and Olsen have bonded hugely. It looks like we're about to get two of them die together, kind of thing.
Yeah, you think it, don't you?
But that's what makes it even more harrowing, is that you actually have to drag them away, because they're like, there's literally nothing you can do here.
Yeah.
And they're not actually, they haven't shot him yet, because they're not going to shoot him, because they're just going to let him lie there until it bleeds and dies. So in many ways, he gets the slowest and probably worst death, because he's not only gunned down and bleeding out to death, but he's literally just going to lie there and die and continue to be left to scream.
Yeah. It's fucking rough, man.
Yeah, it's horrible. For like those ones we get. I can't remember which one's the name of the. Is it Curly? Is Curly?
Curly's the first death.
Oh, is that the first death? So is it Parker?
Parker is the.
Parker's the one that So he's the one that actually rushes them and actually gets the gun. So he manages to rush one of the guards, gets the gun, blasts the guard, and then gets shot multiple times down,
and then turns the gun on himself.
Yeah,
he was a good character as well, and he kind of didn't. He was
like not in it very much in the beginning, but he gets a little bit more as they go along, kind of thing. You get more and more little bits of him. Whereas at first he seems like he's going to be a bit of an asshole, like we get with Barkovich, kind of thing. But
you're unsure.
Goes along. But that also follows actually Barkovich, you know, who I mentioned before about the scene when he was holding on to Raymond. That pretty much is just before his death, because then he basically, like, even though they're all trying to say like, no, it's all right, like, he's the one that's so unwell, really, that he can't even accept that they're trying to actually like be like, no, it's fine, we'll accept you, kind of thing. And then he stabs himself multiple times in the throat. which is just like to be in that position and be the one that you're going to kill yourself, and in that way, fucking hell.
Just fucking, just, you know. Yeah, but then he's that's what I didn't get. He's like, I want to stay with you, you know. I want to always be with you guys or whatever. So he stabs himself. And then you're kind of thinking, well, most of them are going to die. So it's kind of not really going to work, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think he was in a solid state of mind.
To rationalise his suicide.
I don't think any of the stuff there quite made sense to him. He thought in his head it made sense.
This is cool.
Think it did. This is the way to go out. I'll be a hero now.
I'll be a hero to them.
And they're just all like, fucking hell, we've all passed.
Yeah, fuck that guy, leave him. Leave him for the crows.
Yeah, it's how we are left with Baker, Stebbins, Peter, and Raymond.
Yes.
And I think Baker's is the one that maybe like I think Olsen's probably hit me to start with, but when we finally got to Baker, who was basically just ready to basically he had a major nosebleed, a hemorrhage.
Yeah.
A hemorrhage, like basically what it's saying, basically probably linked to the amount of exertion their body's going through that's causing this to happen. That he finally they're holding on to them and they're trying to drag him along and keep him going. And I think it's the hard part when they come to their own decision that they're done.
Yeah.
And he comes to his own decision, but not only is it to his own decision, but it's this moment when. But first, like Raymond's really no, keep going. Like he's not thinking. It's the moment when first Peter goes. He's basically telling Baker it's okay to go.
Yeah.
And then it's Raymond who starts to get the point and go, okay, it's you've done so well. You've done amazing.
Yeah.
You know, trying to give this motion of things, and he asks them not to look, and he gives them the grandma's necklace, which by the way Peter never took.
No.
Yeah. Just to say that Baker asked them, one thing that he asked them to do was take that necklace to his grandma. Raymond put it round his neck, and I thought Peter was going to quickly go back and grab it at the end, but he didn't, the dick.
Yeah, just take it. Well,
I bet he's not going to give fucking Olsen's wife money.
He's going to shatter. Give him the business.
He's going to be like, I was sent here. We were all said we'd give you something special.
We made love to you.
Here it is.
Yeah. To be honest, I kept wondering whether he was going to do something a bit sneaky at the end.
What, Peter?
Peter.
Yeah, I mean, you get that little thing. Even Raymond at one point is kind of like, this is... You're too nice. This is an act kind of thing. You're too good. I mean, I guess at the end it does kind of prove slightly that he couldn't, he had this whole kind of thing to Raymond about that you have to fight this in what that's been, those kind of things. But I guess because Peter never had any actual, for the way it's described, is that he never really had any actual real emotional full connection with anyone.
Yeah.
Everyone he wanted to have an emotional connection with betrayed him in his life, and he had a kind of a horrible upbringing in life. So when he finally has what Raymond had his whole life with his dad, he realizes that actually I now feel like what Raymond felt kind of thing, and he decides to basically enact what Raymond was going to do, which was his plan to kill the Major because the Major had killed his father.
Yeah.
Which you're very much on the side, and it's partially why I wanted Peter to survive and not Raymond, to be honest, anyway. I think it felt as if this was a film where Raymond would be the more likely one because we followed him as that, even though I was thinking, he's going to just... I was in one part of my brain was a little bit he's just going to suddenly get wiped out at some point. He's just going to die. I was he's just going to die. But I was now they've built too much of a relationship. But it felt he says it earlier in the film, Peter says about, at one point, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to let you go through. And he tries to do that, but it doesn't happen because Raymond gets him up, and then Raymond basically does the exact same thing when Peter's not thinking, there's no chance that Raymond's going to give
Ray's going to do it to me.
Yeah. And he does, and I think it's the right person who survives at the end of this thing. We're just completely left in the open as to where the fuck
it goes. Yeah.
I was literally basically expecting a gunshot, basically,
That's
because he was about to get gunned down the second he killed. He guns down the Major. In this kind of scene that feels like it's somewhat there. It's a weird... That's the only one that's a little bit of a weird one, because part of you wanted him to kind of overcome it.
Yeah.
But he's kind of consumed by the same darkness that Raymond has kind of been taken. The idea of vengeance. And Raymond... And also the fact that Raymond sacrificed himself because Peter was the better one.
Yes.
So it kind of is that little bit of a sad, like...
It's bittersweet, isn't it?
Yeah, that kind of slight betrayal on why it happened. It's like, if you're going to do that, I think if you had died, Raymond probably wouldn't have done this now.
Yeah.
Raymond would have... You've taught him well enough that actually... I don't think Raymond would have turned around and shot the Major.
No,
he wouldn't have done any of that. He would have done for good, like he would have asked for a good wish. Like
the scene with his mum really hammers that home. You know, where it's like, fuck, he regrets this. You know, and he had this whole plan of killing the Major because the Major killed his dad, and it was going to be this, revenge, and maybe that's got to stop the Long Walk. And even if it doesn't, at least he's got his revenge. And then it's that great bit when he sees his mum, because in the lead up, everybody's saying to him, or that one chap says to him, I think it might be Stebbins, I'm not sure, says that you get to see your mum at the next state, like, you're lucky. I think it might be Parker who says it. Yeah. And then Pete's like, I don't think that's a good thing. And you don't really know which way it's got to go. And then when you see Judy Greer, he kind of freaks out. So it's a really harrowing scene. And then... it really makes him think, I fucked up. Like, I'm not going to win this. My mum's going to have lost her husband and her son.
Yeah, which she does. Just to rub that in.
Yeah, just to rub that in and make it a bit worse. Any other comments on that? Because I think we've covered.
We've kind of covered through those parts. We went through kind of the main deaths. Then, as I said, I had a near tear in my eye when Baker kind of went. I was literally like, when he walked away, kind of thing. I was like, oh fuck.
Mine was Olsen.
Olsen, was it? Yeah, that one was that. Yeah. Most of those things. I mean, we didn't say about. Stebbins, I think, was the only one I thought that was a little bit kind of, let's redeem this guy at last minute kind of thing. Like, he's getting iller, and I felt for Stebbins that he kind of went from the guy that's like, I'm the peak guy that's going to win, to never be, and I was glad that he was never turned into, normally that guy is the guy that turns into like a proper kind of asshole, or a guy that fucks everything up or betrays. And he never comes that. He just realises that basically, sadly, his body's let him down.
Yeah. And
we also, then we get the general is my father and things like that. And this is why and it's the only one kind of backstory that's kind of revealed that kind of was just like okay. Like, he kind of just steps back to die. And I don't know why. It was the only one that didn't quite, like, unlike the others where I was like, oh, that's actually interesting. His was the only one I was like, yeah.
No, I liked it because I feel like it's this thing of, like, Stebbins is supposed to be like this really athletic guy he's got to win it.
As he's the rabbit that the
greyhounds are chasing,
never catch,
because he's just a machine. He's going to keep going, and then he says that, his dad is the mayor, and you're kind of like, well, he's trying to do this to show to his dad that he's worthy to get it, and then he realised that his dad, he's just another bastard, and his dad has loads of kids he doesn't care about, and that even if he wins the Long Walk, his dad's not going to care. His dad's not going to give a fuck anyway.
And he says he wants to go on his own terms, not like basically like a coughing on the ground, like out of it, kind of collapsing kind of thing.
So I liked it. I thought it was good. I would have liked him as a character to have been a bit more fleshed out, because, like you said,
that's my only problem. That it's not that I necessarily thought that bit was like terrible. It was just more felt like it was condensed into like a very short, very quick, like, just before I die, here's all this, and now I'm going to step back. It's like, they ask him to like reveal himself, and it's like, now that I've revealed myself, I can die. It's only that little part that always, like, it's one of those things that tends to be with these films. That is a little problem at times. Most of the characters normally have this big moment of reveal, then they die like a second later. And this felt very like obvious, because it literally is like he literally finishes talking, telling them about this little thing, even though a minute before they start doing that, he looks like he's still going.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's revealed this. It's like, now
I've lost my strength.
If that had been a little bit more fleshed, I think a bit earlier, it just would have had a bigger impact for his character. Maybe you would have felt a bit more for him. Although this scene does have the best Mark Hamill bit, which is I can't remember what the joke was.
He just keeps going on about balls, doesn't he?
He's like that. It's like they're literally shouting at him, saying like "fuck you, you piece of shit," or whatever you fucking cut, whatever it is, and he's like, "That's it. That's the balls we need." That's the fucking. There was something hilarious about hearing Mark Hamill say it in that kind of way,
about, like, long
in a voice
balls
that sounded like a cartoon voice.
Yeah,
like that was the one that I was like, yeah, that is funny.
Yeah, it was good. I just wish, because Stebbins is kind of, he's in the background and he kind of, he has some like clashes with them. He never comes out as like a full asshole, but he more comes out as a bit like they say, ironic in it. He says, in 10 years I haven't been ill, and then my body chooses to do it the day I do this.
Yeah, I liked that line. Because I thought that was a quite nice of the way he thinks of himself, and he's like, fucking hell, what is this? The irony of everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, I fucking know, basically, I know fucking know what irony means, dude. They're trying to explain to him. He's like, I'm not fucking dumb. I'm not like a dumbass jock or something like that. I do understand these things.
Yeah, I would just like to have had him in it a bit more, really.
No, because at the beginning, he's a little bit like, oh, there's this guy.
Yeah.
And then it feels like we go a really long period where only occasionally he says a little line in the background, but he's not
No.
Whereas someone like Parker felt like he was there, then gone for a lot, but then there, and it he felt a bit more consistent. A lot of those other background ones felt like they were there enough, even Harkness enough before he dies and things like that. Whereas he felt a bit too he's just a background contender who come in it later. Kind of thing. We'll come back to you later.
Have you got anything else to add?
No, that's pretty much it.
Covered pretty much
as we both said before, if it's that. But as I said, I really enjoyed this film. This is another really strong horror. I could see myself watching this film again.
Definitely.
Definitely showed it. It's also that nice balance between it's a nice human Stephen King story that I do think is one of those ones where yes, it does have gruesome parts, but I think that you could show this to someone else who likes, like I said, more mainstream, less horror ones, like Stand By Me, Shawshank, Green Mile, those kind of Stephen King ones, and a lot of people would probably appreciate it. And even again for people that like things like Hunger Games or those kind of films, I think this would also be right up their street. Even though it's a bit more gory, graphic, obviously, it's still enough of that kind of thing that I think a lot of people could get something from it. And the main thing is just on my head is just that this is another actual really 4-5 star kind of whatever you want to rate it, but we've had a lot of those this year. This is a really fucking good year for horror.
Real good, man.
There's a lot of ones that we previous years. I think the last few years we've had maybe 1 or 2, but this year it feels like literally we've had 5 or 6 horrors where I've literally been these are ones that I will watch again.
Oh, definitely.
And that are actual will be remembered, I think, down the line as really strong horror films. Not just kind of they were pretty good. That was okay.
Were right.
We've had a couple of those. We've had our Final Destination or our I Know What You Did Last Summer that are kind of meh, okay. But mainly we've had some fucking bangers.
Yeah, we've had some incredible films this year. And we've got a few more to come. I think,
I think we might still sneak another good 1 or 2.
I'm hoping so.
The year. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
Well,
I'm done.
I'm spent as well. I think it was a fantastic film. It kind of did what most good, to great Stephen King adaptations do, where it balances, the characters and humour with these harrowing moments, adds some kind of some moments of shock and horror. If you want all of the episodes as soon as they're released, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave us a lovely review. Come and let us know what you thought on The Long Walk. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at CMDH Podcast. Until then, we're going to keep on walking like Christopher Walken and play us out, boys.